So, Solomon, do you see my screen?
Yes, I did. I do.
Okay. So I'm just gonna go. So we are gonna.
You have the Route 53 dashboard.
Okay, that's good. So we are gonna look at. Um, so Wednesday I did the theoretical aspect of Route 53. So I'm not gonna go to that again. So we're gonna look at that today. We're gonna do the demo, and then we're gonna look at application load balancer. We'll look at DynamoDB. We talk about it. We started creating, but we didn't finish. So I'm gonna walk through that really quick, and then we have a lot of things I want to cover today. So we're gonna look at EBS volume, create an EBS volume. We're also gonna look at EFS, elastic file storage. We're gonna create an elastic file storage, and then we're going to try to attach it. So we're going to create um, a Windows server, and then we're going to attach that file system to it. So that's what we're going to do really. And then if we have time, we will look at snapshots. What snapshots are, like backups. We'll look at backups like AMI snapshot, EBS snapshot, or volume snapshots. So that's really the plan for today. But first, we are going to start with DynamoDB because we already started with that one. I'm going to start with that one, and then, yeah. All right, so I'm just going to go say DynamoDB. I'm going to start that one. I should probably log into this because it didn't ask me to log in, so probably it's just cache. So I'm going to log out and log in again. I'm just going to log in as my root user. I keep asking me this again. I think that's B F T. What is that? 7 Y. Okay, so DynamoDB. So I'm gonna say so again on the DynamoDB page here. We watched this video the last time. We discussed about what DynamoDB is. We talk about performance at scale. We talk about no server to manage. So you don't, with DynamoDB, you don't manage any server. AWS manage the server for you. It's perform at scale, so which means as your business grow, your DynamoDB also grows. Enterprise ready, so it's ready for your enterprise, and then we talk about the ACID model. It's based on the ACID model. So these are all the use cases: retail, gaming, ad tech, media and entertainment, banking and finance, software and internet. So these are all like the use cases for DynamoDB. These are some of few of the areas they use them. There are many other use cases, but these are just few AWS just provided. So for this today, I'm just going to go really quick. We're just going to create a table, a DynamoDB table. So with this, I'm going to make my screen, duplicate my screen like this. And I'm going to go that. Still the screen. See that one? Yeah. Yeah. And then, so there's this blog that I'm going to use, this AWS blog. So we're just going to follow the instructions on this blog. So we can create a table. We can also get like a PDF of what we are looking at here. So let me see the PDF. I think I've done with, if you look at on the left here, you can export, you can take backups with DynamoDB. Yeah, for some reason the PDF is very slow, so I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna move from this PDF. So we're gonna create a table. So we'll give the table a name. I'm just gonna call it demo. Okay, so we're gonna call it music. Music table. And then the partition key, we're gonna call it artist. And that will be a string. And then the sort key, we're gonna call it song title. And that one is also a string. And then here, we're gonna leave the default setting. And then it's a write data. Just gonna say create table. So that's the first step. The table is under creation process right now. So it's creating the table for us. So you can do everything I just did here. You can do it also on the command line. So that's why they gave you. So on the management console, this is what we've done so far. We created a table called music, and then we created an entity. An entity is just like the information about the table itself. So it could be the table name or the attribute or whatever thing that you're putting it in. So we created a partition key. And then that partition key is called artist. So you can see it's your artist. And then we created a sort key, which is called song title. Yeah, so we leave everything as default, right? So once the table is active status, we recommend that you enable point in time backup. So point in time backup is more of like so going back in the future to take backup, right? When they talk about point in time backup, so these are things that we're asking in an exam. Point in time backup, and then incremental backup, and then you have real time backup. So point in time backup is like, okay, I want to take a snapshot from 2 hours from yesterday or last week or 2 months back. What were the snapshot that I have, right? So that's where it's a point in time. And then when you say real-time backup, real-time, as I'm speaking right now, you are taking a backup. That means real-time, as it is happening, as the event is occurring. That's real-time. So we'll talk about like data analytics like Kinesis. It takes your data, like when video streaming, it takes your data in real time as the event is happening. So that's called real time. Near time is not real time. Near time is almost like in reality, but it's not like in the moment. That's called real time. And then point in time recovery, we'll talk about that. Incremental backup is wherein let's say every 2 hours you take backup. So you are not taking the old backup, you are only taking the newly added, if something was new, if something was added. So you are taking backup from where you stop from your last snapshots. So that's called incremental because you are incrementing. So choose table name. So we're going to choose a table name. Choose backup. We don't really want to do backup. We don't want to do any backup with this data. We are good. We don't want to do backup. But if you were to do backup, it says you choose backup here. So according to the blog here. So right now by default, so this is where I say you play around everything that we are doing. We are not going in detail because this is absolutely beginner, but it is really going to be your job to, when you are doing this on your free time after the class, you go over this one. So like right now you see here, it says status off. So if they're asking an exam, by default, what's the behavior of a backup in DynamoDB? It's turned off by default. So you have to explicitly edit it here and then turn it on. But by default, it's turned off. It's a point-in-time recovery, provides continuous backup of your DynamoDB data for up to 35 days to help you protect against accidental write or delete operations. So it can keep the data for up to 30 days. So it's really important, especially for workloads like the banking systems, where they have to process large transaction, and the data has to be persistent or something. So you need a backup. Anyways, so this is how you turn on the backup. Choose edit and the point in time recovery, blah blah blah. On the edit point in time setting page, choose turn on. We're not going to turn it on. We're just going to go to step 2. We're going to use the console. So step 2, open DynamoDB. In the left navigation pane, choose table. So we already have our table. Choose explore table item. Let me go back here. So tables, and then so select this table. What is the action? Update settings, explore item. So we're going to choose explore item. And then from this explore item, here we can add new attribute if we like. So as it says here, so we can create new items. So it says here, new attribute, and then number, choose number. So action, so new item, create new item. And then here, add new attribute. So it says here, add new attribute. So just follow this blog as you are seeing doing. and we are going to choose number here. So you have different data types here. So you have string, number, boolean. So the boolean it can only hold a true or false value. So it can either be true or false. So that's why sometimes you say yes or no. So that's called boolean. And then you have binary. Binary is just like zeros and ones. Non-value is like it's no value. And then string set, and then number set, binary set, list, and map. For this one, we're going to use number. We're going to use number. And then for attribute name, we say award. Replace this process to create album title. So enter the following value for your item. For artist, enter no one, you know. So what's the partition key? What was that partition key? Artist. The sort key. That. Okay. Then let's try to create this table. And then enter the following value for your item. Artist, song. The things that it's asking us here, I'm not seeing. Let me see here. Okay, artist is this, and then this song, say this, call to me, and I will remove this one. Okay. Okay, so album title should say famous. Then save. Um,
Looks like that field is for numbers only.
yeah, that's what it's saying here. Our album, so it's a word here, it's a 1. And then this is one album title. Why did it say album title enter somewhat famous?
Are we able to change that number to string
Yeah,
on
so
the type?
yeah, so let me just say string, and I'll just change this to yeah, I know it's a duplicate, so I'm gonna remove you. Then I'll save that, then run look again. And then I already put the award. Choose create items. Repeat the process to create another items with the following. So artist name. So this is just walking us through creating a table, a DynamoDB table. Album title. So maybe add another one. And song about life. And then award. Okay, so in our music here, floor items. Okay, so why is this not allowing me to edit this section? So it's not taking. Okay, so I have to add, I'm going to add another one. So this should be a number. And I will say award. And I will say 10. Say do this one more time to create another items with the same artist as the previous steps, but different value for the other attributes. Okay, so you create another one, string. And then for song type, and then album title. Now I'll just do that. And then step 3, open DynamoDB, choose Explorer item. So Explorer items. Explore items on the item return. View the list of items. So we'll have these 2 items here. Yeah, this is just a repeat of but so this is just, guys, this is just an we've basically created a table for a DynamoDB table. So you can see view table details here. So under this table here, we have these are just few data set that we've added. We've created a partition key, a sort key. This will be much more nicer, like when you are actually doing it, like in a production, like at work, because you will have like a guidance. They will tell you like what exactly they need. But this one, we don't have any specific data that we are putting in. So you can look at, if we don't have any indexing, we don't have a lot of things here because I don't have like any actual like project. You can view it in CloudWatch. Yeah, so the table is called music table. You can also create like a replica set. A replica set also is it creates like this, a copy of what you have on this table. It creates it for you. So you can use that replica sets to deploy other applications or other tables. All right, guys. So I will encourage you to read around DynamoDB this one. So what you need to understand about DynamoDB is fully managed, which means you don't have to do the things that we do with RDS. We have to go to the RDS console. We have to put in all those information. We don't do that with DynamoDB because AWS manage it for us. AWS manage the underlying infrastructure. And in fact, with that being said, I want to let me check something. So I wanna talk really quick while I'm talking about this. It makes me remember of like there's this thing called shared responsibility. They will ask you in the exam shared responsibility what it is, right? So when you create the AWS account, there are some things that you are responsible for, and there are things AWS is responsible for. So these are, and again, this is based on um, the services that you're going to use, what you're going to use the AWS for. It says, I'm just going to read this really quick. Security and compliance is shared responsibility. So let me just zoom on this. So security and compliance, according to AWS, is shared responsibility. This shared responsibility, what AWS means by that is it's not just the customer's responsibility to make sure that the application that they are hosting on Amazon Web Services is safe, is protected from all external attack. It's also AWS responsibility. So which means it's a combined effort between the customer and AWS. This shared model can help relieve the customer's operational boundaries as well as AWS operates, manage and control the components from the host operating system and virtualization layer down to physical security of the features in which the service operates. The customer assumes responsibility and management of the request operating system, including updates and security patches. So, which means what they are saying here is they say operational bounds as AWS operates, manage and control components from the host operating system, virtualized layer to the physical security of the. So basically, AWS is managing this like the operating system, everything like the virtualization layer. We haven't talked about virtualization. We'll talk about that when we start talking about Linux. But AWS manage, which basically under the hood, the things that you don't see, the hard stuff, AWS manage that. But it is your responsibility as customer to make sure that you have the updates. Your system is fully updated every time to get this recent or newly security patches. Other associated application, you are responsible for your code. Let's say, for example, Lambda. Lambda is a serverless application. I've explained that to you. And so you don't have to worry about the OS level of Lambda. You don't have to worry about that stuff. AWS is taking care of that stuff. What you are responsible for is the code that Lambda is going to use to perform its job. That's your responsibility. I really want a nicer one. So let me look for a nicer. How about this one? So again, guys, this is just all based on like the services that you are utilizing. It's all based on the services that you are utilizing. Okay, so this is how it looks like. So for example, with EC2, with EC2, here, where you see the blue is the customer's responsibility, and then the yellow or whatever you call that is AWS responsibility, which means You, the customer, you are responsible for the data. You are responsible for the platform and application management. So if you have an EC2 on AWS, you are responsible to manage that EC2. You are responsible for the OS, network firewall configuration. So to configure like security groups, to configure like any firewall application like MFA, you see that when you create the account, MFA is not activated. It is you, the customer, it is your responsibility to make sure that you enforce those security compliance. It is your responsibility to make sure that you put users in groups and instead of giving permission to user or to revoke. It is your responsibility. Anything that has to do with that for the thing is your responsibility, security. And then network traffic is your responsibility to make sure that you say, okay, I want someone from the internet to be able to access my application. It is your responsibility. It is your choice to make that choice. AWS is not going to say, hey, by force, we want this application to be accessible online. It is your responsibility. You have to make that decision because you are the one that determines whether your application is requires for online access or internal access. Reserve side encryption, server-side encryption, sorry. So server-side encryption, you are responsible to make sure that the applications on your server or your server itself is encrypted. So that's what it means by server-side encryption. You have client-side encryption and server-side encryption. So being encrypting your server or the data on the server to make sure that it is not deleted, to make sure that it is not accessed by unauthorized users. And then you have client data encryption, integrity. So those are your responsibility also. Now, if you look at the bottom, AWS is responsible for compute, storage, database, network, and then hardware, AWS global infrastructure. So you see, AWS is taking the huge, even though you see here it's small, but these are the huge because you need a compute environment, you need the storage, you need the database, you need the networking. So AWS is taking care of, and even the hard stuff, the hardware, AWS is responsible for that. And then when you look at RDS, you see RDS, you customer, again, you are responsible for data, you are responsible for traffic, for the client-side encryption. So for the database, you are only responsible for the client-side data encryption. So on the side of the client, whosoever interacting with that application, you are responsible to make sure that there's an encryption for that. You are responsible to configure the firewall. So that's why when we create like the RDS, we have to set up like security groups. But then AWS is responsible for platform application management, OS networking, firewall configuration, compute storage, and all those kind of things. And then when you look at like AWS S3, AWS KMS, DynamoDB, so all these serverless application, even Lambda fall under here, SQS, and all this other, anything that those serverless application, you the customer one thing you're responsible for, your data. So if you want Lambda to shut down EC2 or to terminate EC2s or to create EC2s, AWS is not going to create for you the code. You have to, when I say code, when I say data, I'm talking about like the code, anything that application is doing. So you are going to be responsible for that. That's what the customer data here. And then client-side data encryption. So you are responsible only for the data and then the encryption. AWS take care of everything. That's why they are called serverless. So this is why they are called serverless, guys. So anytime you see serverless application in an exam, so think about if they say whose responsibility. This particular one actually will come on an exam. So you see the customer responsibility and then AWS. So this just show the arrows and okay. So that's all for DynamoDB. Jordan, do you have any question for me? Jordan, you are quiet today.
No questions.
You are very quiet today. I hope everything is going well. I'm gonna delete this table.
Everything is fine. I have a question about something else. So
Yes.
these VPCs that I have, am I supposed to be paying for them?
So VPC, you don't pay for VPC.
Okay, because I got an email from AWS saying that I've used 85% of my free VPC. So I was like, maybe I need to
Okay,
do.
so remember, I told you guys on each region you have 5. You are allowed to have 5 VPCs. So each region you are again, those things I explained it. You are each region there's a quota. They call it quota allocation, right? There's a quota for each region. So that quota for each region, if you can look it up, say how many VPC can a customer have in a yeah, so you see, by default, a customer can have 5 VPCs per region.
Okay, I
So
have 3 now.
you have 3, so which means you have, so AWS is not lying, which means you have, that's more than 80%, right? Because it's 5, and then you have 3. But remember, you can always delete them if you don't want them.
Yeah, but my question is, if I don't delete them, I don't get charged,
Nope,
right?
they don't charge you for VPC.
Okay.
Yeah, so if you go to the VPC page, VPC. So they will charge you for the applications that, remember the VPC, you are creating the application inside that VPC, right?
Correct.
I explained that last time. You have the AWS account, the broader picture, and then you have VPC, which is your virtual private, it's your own private network. And so the EC2s that you have been building, the security groups that you have created, the auto scaling that we did, the RDS that we did, they are all inside that house VPC, right? And so anything that you create outside of that VPC, that's why if you create something in another region, it's hard for you to you have to create certain connection for them to communicate because they are not internal. It's like we are not in the same house. In order for me to talk to you, either I take the cell phone, I call you, or you come to my house, or I go to your house, because we are not in the same house. But if you are in the same house, you just need to knock on my door, right? So if you look at the VPC here, if you click on VPC, so for me, I have one VPC here, but let's say if you click on info VPC, it gives you information here. If you click on this one, it will take you to the documentation. Take you to documentation. And what I'm really interested in, I want to see like the pricing. Yeah, I will not tell you anything about the pricing because Amazon is not really charging you for the VPC. Technically, though you are being charged for the applications that you that you utilize.
Okay.
That makes sense?
Yeah, I do. It makes sense. I have another question. So this is like a
Yes.
personal thing that I want to do. I
Yes.
want to have like a virtual cloud for some of my, like to serve like as a backup for some of my videos and photos. Now, if I want to do that, how do I launch that and what is the charge like?
Yeah, so I mean that's why you are learning this. That's one of the benefits that you're gonna get here. So you wanna like a place where you can store your files.
Yes, I actually need it like yesterday because I work from SD cards. No, not SD card, from SSD hard drives,
Yeah.
and they are only like 2 terabytes or whatever. So, but I have data of more than maybe 10 terabytes right now. So I just need to empty them and put them somewhere where I
Okay.
can still retrieve them later.
So simple, you can just create an S3 bucket and upload those files there. And then they will be in the cloud for you. You know, they will be in the cloud. S3 you can upload up to 5 terabytes of data. So
Is that
remember,
going to be free or am I going to be paying for that?
S3 is free.
Okay. I wanted you to
It's
walk me
free.
through that, but we
It's
can do
free to
that later.
certain. It's free to certain limits, though. You got to look into that. go back to history and then look at the pricing. But I have some of my pictures on my other history, and I don't pay for them at all. I think to certain amounts, you know, like the price. If you look at the history pricing, you will see like they will tell you how much, like when you reach certain amounts, you know, like if you are retrieving, how much are you retrieving the data? How often are you accessing the data? It's all going to depend on that pricing.
Okay.
Okay. All right, guys. Yeah, we are gonna move on. So we are gonna go to finish DynamoDB. So I want us to go to we talk about Route 53 on Wednesday. So we are gonna go do the demo of Route 53 now. So to go to Route 53, just type route and then 53 to show up here. So I'm gonna do that. So one of the issues, really quick, I had like when I was creating this Route 53 was that for some reason, because I was logging in my as a user, like IAM user, it was giving me error. So I log in as my admin, as a root user. So, and then for Route 53, so if you want to register a domain, I'm not gonna go all over it again. Go back and watch the video. But all you need to do is you will not get this page like you are seeing what I'm seeing if you don't have any record. If you don't have any record, you are not going to see this. So what you are going to see first is to register a domain. So you are going to click on it. You'll see. So right now I have this one, but if you it will be like this. You will not have a page like it, but you click and then it will take you to a page like this. And all you need to do, you put in the domain, like let's say Jordan wants to do JORDAN Jordan.tec, Jordan let's say .org. So for Jordan, like this is really important. So you can just type here whatever domain name that you want to use. This is really important, guys. And then you search. AWS will tell you the price. If that domain name is available, it says, see, jordan.org is not available. But it also gives you like options that are available. So jordanphoto.com is available, which is $14 per year. www.jordansync.com. So all that is available. So you can just select here and then you go through the registration process. Once you are registered, if you come back, it will take you back to Route 53. This one, it will say here, pending, because they will send you a request and they will send you an email to verify. You have to click on that email. Once you click on it, it will take a few times and then it will activate. So right now I have my own record, dtech.academy. So this one I was going to use dtech.link, dtech.org, it was not available. So if it is not available, you're not going to use it. So this was what I was explaining last time. So this domain name, so this one is called a top level domain name. This after the dot. So when you see www. Let me see if I can pull my notepad so I can write. I'm just going to explain that really quick because this is really hands-on. I already do the explanation in the last session. So let's say we want to create. So let's say www.example or let me use my domain name. Let's say gateway.com. So this is a fully qualified domain name. This is called fully qualified domain name. But when you see, sometimes you will see here fmobi.com. Can you guys see my screen, right? Can you guys see my screen?
Yes, we can see your screen.
Okay. So sometimes this will not be, let me get my ruler here. So this.com, it's called a TDL, TLD, not TLD, which means top level domain. So the after the end, after the dot, whatever follows is called a top level domain. It's called a top level domain. And then this is the naked domain. When you have everything together, this is called fully qualified domain. And then when you have like this one, this is a subdomain. Okay? So you have subdomain, fully qualified domain, and then you have top level domain. So this top level domain, the .com, .org, these are the providers. Companies are responsible. Companies owns this one, this .com. Like .com, if you search up I showed it on the video the last time, but there are companies. This is not what I want to show. There are companies that are responsible for this, for what I was sharing earlier, for this.com part. Companies are responsible for this. There are organizations that are responsible for it. So the .com. So you just remember this one, okay? All right. Okay, so this is my domain name. So so whenever you create the domain name, when you create the domain name by default, AWS is created for you what we call the hosted zone by default. So if you see here hosted zone, I have one hosted zone. You see it will show me that I have one hosted zone. You need a hosted zone for you to be able to host the application. So Jordan, for your business, so you see, I have this one hosted zone, which is my domain name here. So if I click on my domain name, it has created for me two records. So one is called the name server records, and then the other one is called SOA, which is start of authority, right? So I explained this one the last time about the name server, the DNS server, and all those things. I'm not going to go over it again. You guys can watch the video. But this, by default, they are there. You cannot delete them. If you delete this one, then whenever you create a new one, this will be different. And you always have to make sure. So Jordan, if you have a domain name right now, or if you want to host your domain, they will ask you, hey, do you have your domain name? And say, yes. Okay, we need to update the name record. So this is what they will update. They will tell you, hey, go and change this figure to this figure, replace this one to this one that we're giving you. So so you see here, this name server, these are the name servers that we have. So this will be the records that you will edit. So to edit them, you will just click on edit, right? I don't.
Yeah, I
But
understand the DNS.
okay, so yeah, so this is what for today we are gonna. So we have this record set. We are gonna create. So before I do that, I want to create. Let's create an EC2 first. Let's create like maybe two EC2s or maybe one. So I'm gonna go to EC2. So the domain name, if you don't want to, to, you don't want to give like your, remember I told you guys, I'm just gonna say demo. I told you guys like EMO. I told you the computers don't speak our own language. So whatever information that you give them, like cloudskigateway.com, the computer will not understand that. So there has to be a way, a mechanism for us to be able to ensure that the computer is actually understanding what we are telling him, right? So create new key pair. I should have a key pair. Okay, so I'm just gonna edit and create. Can use a default VPC, enable no preference. I will just create another security group. I'll call it demo SG. And I'll copy this again. So this instance I'm gonna create, yeah, I'll just create one instance right now. I'm actually gonna create two instances from here. So here SSH, we're only gonna allow, let's allow port 80. Let's add port 80 HTTP. And then anywhere. And then we're just gonna leave that storage. Let me see if I can get that user data where it is. Okay, I'm trying to get our user data. Install.sh. That's not the one. Okay, so I'm just gonna use let me go to the cloud. So this is our user data we've been using. So I'm just gonna copy it. And then go put it on the user data section. Okay. And then I think we'll be good. Maybe let me just create 2 of this and then create, keep here. Okay, we need to create a keep here and just say DEMO, demo 2025. Okay, so our instance should be, yep, they are up now. So let me just differentiate this demo 1 and then demo 2. And then let's try checking this out to make sure that it is up and running. So sometimes it will take, it's still initializing. So let's wait for it to finish. Let me look at the security group. I think I put port 80, so yeah, port 80, it's there. If it doesn't work, it's probably in the private subnet, so we'll see. So while we are waiting for that to initialize, so we're going to create a record. To create a record, so remember, these ones, you don't touch them, you don't delete these ones, you just leave them as they are. Here you click on create record, and then I went over this on the Wednesday video. So you have this type of routing policy. So in Route 53, we have what we call routing policies. So in routing policy, this one, again, I'm not going to go over it. So you have simple records, you have weighted record, you have latency-based, geolocation, failover. So simple routing is just like when you route from one name server to another name server. So from one website, from one application to the other application. And then weighted is where you just do you give percentage. So I want 50% to go to this application. So you see as the diagram, you can see in the diagram, probably like 50% or 60% is going to this one application here, and then maybe probably like 90% here, and then 10% here. And then you have latency base. Latency base is like how fast your customers are going to access the application. It's a use when you have resources in multiple AWS regions and you want to route traffic to regions that provides the best latency. So you want to use, if you want for seamless experience for your customers to have a lot of experience, they don't have a lot of issues accessing the applications. That's what we call latency. How fast are they, or how easy, how fast are they able to like access the application? So you want to use latency. Geolocation is like, it's you route traffic based on the location of the users. So this is what you see on Netflix. So if you go to Africa, they give you different content on Netflix. You can still access it, but you get different content as compared to like when you are in the US, because they look at your IP address, Route 53 or the domain name is so smart that no sooner you go to Africa and then you log into Netflix, it will know that you are in Africa. Unless if you are using like a VPN will mask your IP address so they will not know where your location is. But if you're not using any VPN, this is how Netflix will know that you are in Africa or you're in Nigeria or Sierra Leone. And then they will, let's say you go to North Korea, I'm just saying, and then you want to access Netflix, because some places, some countries, Amazon doesn't even allow you. If you are in certain countries, they are restricted. So let's say you go to North Korea, they will know that you are in North Korea, so they will block your access. You will not be able to access the application. It's because of geolocation. And then you have failover, as you can see from the diagram here. You have two applications, but you have one that is backup. So you want to make sure that the main server has a backup. And then you can say, hey, if this server fail, like you are seeing the X here, if this fail, I want all the traffic to come to this other server, right? Or sometimes you can also, like for distributed denial of service, DDoS, they call it distributed denial of service, DDoS. So that's one of the service that many customers experience, which is it's a cyber crime, wherein people will start like pumping your application. They will start sending a lot of requests, like bad actors, like malicious actors. They will start like sending a lot of information. They will pretend as if they are like they are legitimate users, but they are not. Their goal is to overwhelm your application, because they will ask a lot of requests. Like one time my son was playing and he was accessing things that he was not supposed to access. And then for some reason, he get a malware. And so he was just getting this like pop-up notification over and over and over again. And I'm sitting there looking at him, and then he's just doing, he's getting frustrated because every time he deletes them, they will come every time, and they just keep popping up. And the thing is, the goal is to overwhelm your server, so that your server can crash. And that's what you see they do with big companies when they hack them. Either they hold them ransom, and then they ask to say, if you don't pay, we'll do this. Recently it happens like in the pipeline grid. I don't know how many of you have heard about it. So there are a lot of happening. And then you can also route through IP address, IP base, and then geo proximity. It's almost like this geo location, but this is like how close are you, Okay, so we're going to use simple routing for now. Let me see if this server. Yeah, it still doesn't want to, still initializing, but it should run, because that code, we've used that code 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, 4 times. Yeah, we need that EC2 to be up and running. So we're gonna, if it doesn't work, we have to create it again. Usually you do like troubleshooting to see like why is it not working. So we'll look at like networking, and then see IP, the subnet. What kind of subnet is this? I mean, it has this subnet ID. Yeah, so I don't know why. So we'll have to go create it again. Maybe the user data is not working. So, but it's the same user data we'll be using. So, yeah, I'm gonna go create it again, because we need the EC2 for it to work, because that's what I want to give like an example. So I'm gonna terminate this once, and then I'm just gonna go create it real quick again. So ideally, you don't just want to terminate and create. You want to troubleshoot first to see what the root cause is, because that's how you are also going to learn. But for this demo, I'm just gonna terminate it. Let me say the I'll just use Ubuntu. Jordan, do you have any question right now?
No, I'm just watching and listening.
Okay. I think the problem, so this VPC, so let's choose one that is a public. Yeah, that's the thing about these default VPCs. We don't really know which one is which IP address available. I'll just use that one for now. IP, okay. And then security group, I'll just select the existing one. And then for this, no, go back to this code should work because we've used it before. Yeah, so just remember also like Route 53. Sometimes people, it's not a load balancer. It can almost perform functionality like a load balancer, but it's not a load balancer. It's more of it converts that name, the name, let's say google.com. It will take that name because the computer don't understand it. It will take that name and then process it in the back end. It has to go through. I walk you guys through like what happened, the DNS, the different things that it has to do before it can actually give you the information. And so Route 53, on that Route 53 is the authoritative server. So if in the exam, they say the name server is Route 53, the name server, the resolver, it's not the resolver, it's the authoritative server. So basically it helps to get the IP address of that information. So if you say Cloud Ski Gateway has an IP address, and that IP address is the address to Cloud Ski Gateway online. And so Route 53, whenever you say Cloud Ski Gateway, you want to access that website, it's gonna go on the back end. It just happened just like that, just like like when you click your finger, without you even knowing. But it has to go through some processes and do it in the back end, and then get you the result that you asked for. Again, there's more to this. There's more to it. I think this one is gonna work now. Yep. So this one is working. So this is our application. You guys, this application is familiar. This website is familiar to you guys. So we've done this before. So this is working now. That's good. So let's come back to our Route 53. So we are going to create first like a simple routing record. I don't think we'll create all of them, but let's see, because I have other things I want us to do. I want us to finish today. So from here, you can say define simple routing record. And then here you can put a subdomain. So the subdomain, remember I talked about, so this is the naked domain, right? So here I can put www, if I want to do that. So now it will be www.dtech.academy. So you see websites, sometimes websites have that. The other thing that I also explained this in the video, you have routing policies. There are different routing policies. You have a record. A record is just for IPv4. And then AAAA record is for IPv6. And then this canonical name, CNAME, this CNAME stands for canonical name record. It's really a record. It's a choose when you route traffic to some elastic beanstalk environment or Amazon RDS database. So this is really if you want to route to other applications. And then you have you have all these different type, NS record, HTTPS, and then you have like this MS record, mail server, MX record. So this is for email. So we are just going to do the A record. And then here we can put our IP address. If you have an alias, if you are going to use like a load balancer, then you want to select load balancer here. But for here, we're going to use our IP address. I don't think the IP address is correct. Let me go choose it. Okay, so I think it's correct. So we're going to just use this IP address. And then we're going to say, so the TTL, this is really important. This is really, really important. So right now it is at, so we can put it one minute. We can put it, so 3,600 is 1 hour. So if you put it on a 1 hour, so basically what this TTL is really important to know, because Route 53, they charge you for it, but they only charge you based on the queries that you make or the users make. So if the users are making queries, then Amazon will charge you for it. And they charge you, so let's say if you put it to 1 hour, that's too long, which means it will cache this. Your website is going to be on your customer's machine. So the next time they want to go to it, they are not going to, the Route 53, the authoritative server is not going to try to look for it, And guys, let me just finish creating this real quick and then we can take a break. So it's really important not to put this too low. So if you put it like it is 1 minute, 1 minute every time they want to access, once they access it and then they close the app, when they want to access it again, they have to go through the same thing. So this is really important. It's the amount of time in second that DNS resolver and web browser caches the settings in this record. So that's what the TTL means. Time to leave. It means time to leave. So how long do you want the data, the information about your website? How long do you want it to stay on your user's browser, right? So that's why sometimes we say like clear or cache. So this is where you can determine that. You can determine, okay, I want it to be like 1 minute. So I'm going to say 1 minute. I'm just going to say 60 seconds. 60. And then define simple records. Select that and then create record. So we have created our records. So now we have, you see here, we have www. So we have this record set. Originally we had these two, but now we have another record here. So let's take a break. Let's come back at 6:47. And then we can test this record that we've created, okay? All right, Jordan?
Okay, no problem. Thank you.
Yeah. I'll stop the recording. Okay, so I'll go back over that one again. All right, so I'm just going to create a health check really quick. So create a health check, and I'm going to give it, okay, demo health check. That one just appeared. So we can say endpoint, calculator health check. So when you choose the endpoint, establish a connection between resource to determine its health check. And then if you choose this one, calculate health check, the status of the health check is based on the status of the other health check. Or you can use CloudWatch Alarm, but we're just going to use this, the IP address one. Then I'm just going to paste my IP address there. And then advanced setting, we're just going to leave everything as default. So the failure threshold, the number of consecutive health check failure that is considered unhealthy. So how many times do you want Route 53, the health check, to check before it can flag it to say, okay, this server is not healthy? So right now, it's by default, it said 3. I didn't put that 3. So these are the things I would say when you are doing it, click on every one that you see, just for you to know, like, because they will ask you like these questions. If you are going to tell them that, hey, I'm a DevOps engineer or I'm AWS engineer, if you're going to take that test, they want to know if really you have even played with AWS. So let's say you put on your resume or on the thing you say, oh, I know how to create Route 53. I know how to create records, right? Now, they'll ask you a question like this. Okay, what's the default failure threshold, right? So the default is 3 seconds, right? So it's going to check 3 times. So that's why I said the number of consecutive health check failure. So how many health check after it's checked, how many failure? Do you want it to be 3, or do you want it to continue to, you can put it up to 5 if you want, right? So these are all other optional. So let's just say create. So we'll have our health check. So again, I'm going to go back to that hosted zone because I didn't show that. So we've just created a weighted, and then and those records we created rated simple, both were simple routing policies. So we created this one without the www, without the subdomain name. You can see the one that I created. This one was the one that we created with the subdomain. And then this is the one that we just created. So this is a fully qualified domain, by the way. Yeah. So we did that, but we're not going to test anyway. So you can read this other page here on the left navigation to get more information. Again, this class is really designed to expose you to these things so that you know what they are, and then you'll be able to do the research on your own now. Okay, so we're still going to be at Route 53, but what I want us to do is I want us to perform. We haven't done any command line, but we are going to try the first one. So I've already explained to you guys the command. We've done a little bit of command line, the CLI. So what I want us to do is I have not talked about how do you log into the EC2 instance, and I'm going to do that now. So the last time I have you guys download certain applications, and one of them was Mobile Xterm. So Mobile Xterm is a client. It's a client that you can use to connect to your resources. You can use Mobile Xterm to connect to your resources. So I'm going to pull it up real quick. So this is Mobile Xterm. So when you log into it, this is how it will look like. So on this Mobile Xterm, this is a client. So it's a client server architecture. So here you use Mobile Xterm. So whenever we create EC2 instance, you always see me put port 22. So port 22 SSH, it's called SSH. It's a way of communicating or interacting with your server internally. It's for only internal purpose. So maybe I will explain what SSH is. SSH is called secure server. It's basically you are securing. So the idea behind SSH is you want to be able to, you want other users within the same VPC, within the same environment to be able to interact with your application. But you don't want them to interact with the application externally. Externally, I mean on the browser or on the internet. You want them to be able to interact with certain medium. And that's what the SSH connection. So the idea behind SSH has a technology called cryptography. So in cryptography, where you encrypt your data so that nobody without the right access key will be able to access that. So so we are doing two things in one. Let's look up SSH. So like I said here, SSH it stands for secure shell, and it's an access credentials that is used in the SSH protocol. So the protocol is port 22, the port number is port 22. In other words, it's a cryptographic network protocol that is used to transfer encrypted data over the network. So you want to transfer your data, you want to be able to access your information, or you want to send certain keys like public key, they have what they call public key and private key. You see that here. But how are you going to transfer that data? Because they are the way the hackers or bad actors, they are sitting right now, probably they are sitting in between you and I on this Zoom meeting. So you don't see them. They sit between your computer. Whenever you establish communication, they are in between. Sometimes we call them the eavesdropper, right? Or Eve. So they sit in between, and so they are waiting for once you send. So for example, when you send a message, so when I send that www.dtech.academy on that group, on that this Zoom chat, no sooner I hit send, it's going through for Jordan, for all of you on this call, for you to be able to see that it has to go through the internet, and then you will see it on your end. So that's called in transit. I explained this the last time. So whenever the data is in transit, it's vulnerable. There's likelihood that it's going to be tampered with, and that's what we call in cybersecurity, we call it integrity, data integrity, to make sure that the data it is how it's supposed to be, and it has not been tampered with. And so for you to be able to securely connect to your server, for you to be able to interact with your server, you have to do it in a way that is secure, that is safe, that's not going to compromise your data, and your data is going to have high integrity. And so that's what SSH actually provides. And so the key, it has this public key and then private key. Everyone can see it. So the public key, everybody can see, but the private key, not everybody, it's not accessible to everybody. It stays in your computer and must be protected. So what we really need here is this public key. So whenever you create that key pair, the key pair, if you go to that key pair, one of your key pair that you created on your computer, you try to open that key pair, you see that it is full of things that you don't even understand, right? So if I go to what I mean here, guys, if I go to my download folder, if I go to my folder here, and then I go to, let's say, you guys are seeing my screen, right?
Yes.
So I go to download.
Yes.
So right now on a download here, so earlier I created this demo 2025. This is the key. So if I double click on that, it's going to open it on a notepad. Right, so I have it here. So this is how the key looks like. So you see, tell me, what would you get out of this if you are really not a cyber criminal? You see this, you think it's a gibberish. In fact, for me, looking at this, just looking at this, my head hurts. Because like it doesn't make any sense. So this is encrypted. But this is the key that is going to connect me and whatever application, whatever server that has this key, that has access to this key. So I have to have this key, that server has to have this key. That's why when you create that key pair, it's stored in AWS. And how do I know? Because if you go to your AWS account and then you scroll down under EC2, you scroll down and then you see key pair, all the keys that you have created, they are here under key pair. This is the key that I only have one key here. If I log into my other account, you probably see a lot of keys, but this is a key pair. So I have it here, but it is not only on AWS. AWS actually automatically downloaded that key pair on my own account. That's what you are looking at here. This is the key, the same key. Is it not the same? What you see on AWS, is it not the same here? It's the same. So because I have to have the key, and then the server, it has to be on the server also. That's why how it's going to authenticate. So we are going to use, let me go back to that SSH page. So that is the private key and public key. And then key pair can be of the following key type. So it can be user key, it can be host key, and then it can be session key. If it's a user key, if the public key and private key remain with the user. So if the public key and private key remains with you, the user, then it's called a user key. If the public key and private key are on the remote system, then it's a host key. If you use the session key when a large amount of data is to be transmitted. So if you want to transmit a large amount of data, then they say you use session key. I've never used that one. So, and then you have the function of SSH here. There are multiple functions performed by SSH functions. So one is provide high security as it encrypts all messages of communication between client and server. And then 2, provide confidentiality. 3, allow remote login. 4, provide a secure file transfer protocol. So this is FTP. It's another protocol, FTP. So just like we will have SSH, we also have FTP. And then you have like this one they call Talent. This is also another client. And then you have support tunnel with provide. So these are just the things here. So this is what happened here. The client, you send a request, and then if that request is valid, if it's authenticated, it sends you back, it sends the public key. And then if you get the public key, say navigate, let me see here. So you see here, negotiate parameters and open secure tunnel. And then from there, use login to server. So these are the things that happen on the back end whenever you do SSH. So there are 2 things involved. You have the client and then you have the server. So the client is this mobile X-Time or your computer. The client is what you are using to connect to that server, and the server is what you want to get access to. The server is what you want to get access to, and then the client is the one that is making the request. So you see here, the client initiates the request, right? So it's a client, let me see if I can zoom into that. Okay, so client initiates the connection by contacting server. So that's what we're going to do now. So we're going to initiate by contacting the server, and then what the server is going to do, the server is going to send server public key. So once we do that, the server is going to in return send the public key to the client. And then both the client and the server, so you see the arrow goes both ways, they negotiate now. And that part of that negotiation process, a lot of things are happening. 1, authentication. They have to be authenticated. They have to be an authenticated user. That's why we're going to put a username. Again, you have like for SSH, and then you have RDP, you enter password and username, all those kind of things. And then user log to the server. So once, if this second part, this third part, if it is clear, once we're able to negotiate, the negotiation main here is are you allowed to be in here? So remember I told you about the triple A's, right? So the triple A's, remember? Authorization, accounting, all those kind of things. Remember that? So you got to remember those. That's a very big aspect. It's a very big aspect in what we are doing. The cloud that we are in again. So you have to be authorized for you to access any system. You have to be accountable for your actions. So if you go delete, Jordan, you work in the financial industry. If you go and start poking into things that you are not supposed to poke into, they are going to know, because they have systems that are in place that actually can tell you, like we see the IAM user and even CloudTrail. CloudTrail is a service. I'm going to talk about it now. It's a service that actually allows you, especially on the AWS account, that allow you to manage granular access. Like it will tell you who access and what they access and what they did. So actually, who am I? Who? did what, who did what action did they perform, and how long they. So it gives you all this information. So it tracks everything that you do on the AWS environment. So that's CloudTrail. So when you talk about like detective tools, so you're going to talk about CloudTrail, you're going to talk about Shield, AWS Shield, and then you also have CloudWatch. CloudWatch is like the CCTV camera. So it monitors application, it monitors the systems, like everything that happens, like CPU utilization, all those kind of things. Anyway, so we're gonna look at this SSH. So they talk about here authentication. So that's negotiation, encryption, data integrity, tunnel, you know. So the other thing I really want to talk about really quick, and again, I'm going to consider this as part of the cybersecurity, I promise you guys. So you have what they call cryptographic, symmetric cryptography. You have symmetric and asymmetric. So symmetric key cryptography is the same key used for encrypting and decrypting the message. A unique single short key is kept between the sender and the receiver. For example, DES. So this is one data encryption standard. So this is one form of and then you have the AES, which is advanced encryption standard. So this is how it works, right? So you have the secret key, and then it has to be encrypted. But for this one to be able to access the application, they have to be able to have another key that will help them decrypt the application before they can have access. And then you have asymmetric. Asymmetric key cryptography, the key used for encrypting is different from the key used for decrypting the message. So remember that. So in symmetric, you have different keys. You use different key to decrypt the key. Whereas in symmetric approach, you use the same public key. You use the same key for encrypting and decrypting the message. Whereas asymmetric, you use two different keys, one for encrypting and then one for decrypting. So whosoever is receiving the message have to have a decryption algorithm for them to be able to like decrypt that key. So this is how it works, the asymmetric. So sometimes you hear the word and say this communication is asymmetric. So which means it's just one-way street. When you talk about asymmetric, it's one-way street. So that's why I say it's different. So once I send, you have to have a different key to open that code. So again, let me give you an instance really quick. Imagine, Jordan, imagine you want to, or let's say Samuel. Imagine, Solomon, imagine you want to send a letter to your babe in Nigeria, but you don't want the mailman. You've learned that the mailman or the delivery guy that delivered that letter from where you are to Nigeria, they have been doing some malpractice, open people's letter and reading the content of the letter. In fact, even like if you send money, they'll take money. They do malicious things without. You have this idea, and so you think, okay, how am I really want to send this Valentine's gift, this $5,000 to my babe. How am I going to do that? Now I know that this is the only delivery that we have, and they have been doing malpractice. People don't get what they receive. And so you decided to come up with a solution. A solution is you take that money or that letter and the money and the gift, you put it inside a box. And inside that box, you put a lock on that box. But the lock, the padlock, or the whatever combination that you have, you put on that, you hold the key. You don't give it out. You send that letter. You send the box. The letter is inside that box. You send it to the user, to your babe in Nigeria. Now you give instruction, you call your babe, you say, hey babe, I want you to send me back that box. But this time when you are sending it, I want you to buy another lock and put another lock on top of that lock that I put. And so your babe do the same thing, follow your instruction. She bought a lock and then put the lock on the box and then resend the box again. Now the box has two locks that are coming your way. Now you, Solomon, when you get that lock from your babe again, what happens is you open with your own lock because you have your own key, and then you send the lock again. Now with only one lock, you are resending the lock again to your babe because your babe has her own key. And so your babe now is able to open that key, open is able to open the box without anything and then get the money. So that is what SSH, that's how SSH works. It's a handshake, but it's one way. Okay. All right. So I'm not gonna. So that's a little bit. You can go. I'll put this on the Again, you can access this on this gig is on the classroom. Just type SSH, or I'll put this one under the session. Okay. So we are gonna log into. So there are many ways you can log into SSH. There are many ways you can SSH into something into servers. One way is use a client called MobileXTime, which I have you guys download the last time. Another way you can use Git. This one, Git. You can use Git to log into your server again. This one, you can use this Git. So I'm showing you different ways. I'm going to put them side by side. So you have MobileXTime here, and then the dark one is Git. You can use Git. Another way you can use Putin. If I have all this one here, PU. So you can use Putin. Again, I'm going to drag it here so you guys can see. So this one is Putin. So you have Git, you have MobileXTime, and you have Putty, right? So there are other many ways that you can log into the instance. It's really going to depend on which one are you comfortable, which one are you familiar with. But for putting, you have to put in the IP address here. So let's say if I paste the IP address here, right? And then so remember the port is SSA1 or SSH, and then you can, but Putin use, when we create see this one here is .pem. If you look at this, this said .pem. Whenever we create the EC2 instance, remember I told you guys that. So if I go back to EC2, so if I go back to my EC2 here, and then I'm going to pretend as if I'm launching. I'm actually going to launch. I'm not going to pretend. I'm going to launch another server because we're going to use another server. But this time I'm going to launch a Windows server because all this while we've been talking about Linux and Ubuntu. This time I'm going to launch a Windows server. So really quick, so just so that I show you like the key pair I'm talking about. You guys know the key pair I'm talking about, but I'm just going to show you again. So this one I'm going to say Windows. Okay, Win EC2. And then instead of choosing, so we've been using Amazon Linux, we've used Ubuntu, we've not used Mac OS. So I'm going to use Windows this time. And so guys, this one is really going to show you like, basically you are creating your own computer. So when we talk about EC2, I told you guys this, I keep emphasizing it. It's a computer. If you cannot find the operating system, so these are all operating systems. Where I'm going to talk about operating system pretty soon, maybe tomorrow. But these are all operating systems. So you can choose on this operating system because everything that we are doing here has to have an operating system before it can work. Without the operating system, it will not work. Nothing will work. You have to have an operating system. And this is the operating system. When I talk about like AWS managed services and customer managed, this is, so we just select what we have. But how is this operating system configured on the back end? We have no idea. It's AWS responsibility. If you cannot find it, I showed it last time, you can browse it here. So I'm gonna, so key pair, instead of selecting a key pair, I'm just gonna say as if I'm creating a key pair. So you see it say RSA, and then it say .pem, and then .ppk. So this one is good for MobileXTime and for Git. But if you are using Putin, like this Putin, then you have to convert that key that we created. You have to convert it into .ppk. And how do you convert it? There's a software called PuttyGen. PuttyGen will help you to convert that key into ppk instead of .pem, because .pem does not work on Putin. So you see, it says here for Putin. So you got to remember that when you create the key. So I'm not going to create it, but I wanted to show you guys that. So I'm going to select this key pair that we have. And then for the network interface, I'm gonna use, I don't even know, I wanna use that same region that we used earlier because it seems like it's working. Let me go back to that EC2. Let me just check the region that we use, the availability zone, so I can use that same availability zone since that one is working. Because if you put it on the wrong availability zone, like in the private availability zone, it will not work. Trust me. So I'm just gonna see where these guys are. I'm gonna rename this really quick. Server 1. And then server 2. And then if we go down, we'll see that maybe we'll go to networking. Okay, US East 1F. Okay, so let's create that in US East 1F. So default, we are going to use the default one, and then US East 1F. So let's use that one. And then we're going to enable public IP, and then we're going to create a security group. No, we are going to use existing security group. So with this, I'm actually, because I'm using Windows, I'm going to use this RDS database, just because I think I've created it yesterday. So I'm going to use that one because for Windows Server, you need the RDS protocol, and I will show you that one. And then I'm just gonna go get the user data for this. Okay, so the user data, the other thing also the user data. So you see the user data here, it will not allow me to modify this user data. So that's one question they will ask you on the exam also, the user data. So you see the user data is great. It can allow you to copy, but it cannot allow you to edit. For you to be able to edit this user data, let's say the user data is not working, but you already created your EC2 instance, you can come in here, but for you to be able to edit it, you have to shut down the instance. You don't terminate it, you just shut it down, and then it will allow you to either change the user data or to edit the user data. So again, play around. I'm gonna put that user data in this other application here. And so it's Windows Server, leave everything as it is. So the storage give us 30, okay, leave it, that's fine. Okay, so we are gonna create, so now we have a Windows Server. All right, so we have that one up. And then, but really what I was explaining is just explaining this. So we are going to use, we have 3 options here, but the one I really like to use is, I don't even think if I've used Git for version control and everything else. We are going to be using that a lot, but I've not used it to log into my instance. I've used Putin to log in. Maybe at some point during the class, I will log into the server using Putin. But today, that's not what we're going to do. I just wanted to show you guys. So we're going to use mobile extern. So I'm going to just put it side by side. That's not what I want. Okay, so to log into your instance, guy, you got to really pay attention to this what I'm going to teach right now, because I don't want you tomorrow you start asking me, oh Daniel, how can I log into my EC2 instance? Some of you here know, I know Messi, you know how to log into this server because you've done it before. But for you, if this is your first time, I really want you to pay attention to this side. So to log into your EC2 instance, you always are going to need to SSH. You are always, so to SSH, just click on session here at the top on mobile extern session, and then to open another page here, and then you just come here and then click on SSH. Now, if you are doing RDP, then you click on, you see RDP has an option here for RDP. If you are using FTP, you use FTP. If you are using VNC, I don't even know what that is, VNC. If you are using Shell and all the S3, you can use those. I just learned about this WSL, which is Windows subsystem for Linux. I just learned about it a couple days ago. But we are going to be using probably SSH a lot throughout this class, and maybe RDP. So like that Windows server that we created, you cannot use SSH, you have to use RDP. So we are going to use SSH for this one first. So we are going to go inside SSH, and then you will need the public IP address. So remember, again, let me make this big. You have two types of address here. You have the public IP address, and then you have the private IP address. The private IP address, again, like I said, I'm repeating myself, it's just for internal communication only. It's for internal communication only. I'm saying that only. It's for internal communication. Okay, guys? It's for internal communication. And so you want to use a public IP address all the time to log if you are SSH into the server. So you click on SSH and then you put here your IP address. And then because this server we used what did we use? Is it Linux or Ubuntu? I think this is a Ubuntu. So here where it says username, just click on this checkbox and then you type Ubuntu, U-B-U-N-T-U. Ubuntu is a username. And then where it says advanced settings, click on advanced settings. And then where it says use private key. Remember I explained that the private key has to be on your computer. Whenever you create your key pair, AWS automatically download that on your computer. So that's the private key. You need that. So you check that box and then you click in here. If you have done it multiple times, it will show on your clipboard. Let me show you the other page that opens here. So once I click on that this blue thing here, it opens my thing here to select the private key. So I have this private key here. I'm going to select that one and then I'm going to click OK. And so this one should take us inside this server, this particular server. So you see right now we are inside this server. So we are inside this particular EC2 instance. This demo one. We're inside this demo one. That's one way. I told you can log in using using Git, right? So if you click on another way you can log in, you can click on click on the checkbox against the EC2 and then click on connect. And then it will give you like different options. So you have EC2 instance connect, you have session manager, you have SSH clients. So you see SSH clients. So if you want to do, let's say you want to do, so let's say you want to use Git. Remember I told you about Git earlier. So let's try Git. So you paste that command here. Probably not going to work. There you go. So you hit enter. So you see, it's a favorable, So I'm not going to try that because we'll try at some other point, but you can use this command. So they give you an example here. You can just copy that, You can also connect using EC2 instance connect. Once you are here on this page, if you don't want to go and start going to mobile extra, open mobile extra and put that other, just click on connect and then click on EC2 instance connect. And then on the bottom here, you see I say connect in the yellow, just click on that. And then this one will connect you via the browser. It will log into your instance via the browser. So you see, it's going to go inside this instance. So there are multiple ways to log into your instance. The one thing that you have to have the private key. You must have that private key. Otherwise, you will not be able to connect. So guys, by the end of today, you will learn about cryptography. At least you have a knowledge. You have to have a private key. So for cryptography, you have private key and public key. And then you have two types of, you have symmetric and asymmetric, right? Symmetric is what? We'll talk about that earlier. If you look at here, if you go back to this one here, it talks about symmetric here, right? For symmetric, the public key, the key that you use is the same as the encryption key is the same as the decryption key. Whereas asymmetric, the encryption key is different from the decryption key. So just remember that. Okay, where was I? Okay, so it connected us to using the browser. So that's another way of connecting to the EC2 instance. But let's go back to our instance. So I want us to, we are now inside this instance, so type clear, so simple command. So don't worry about the command because you have not done Linux, and I'm gonna teach you that. I'm gonna give you the basic of Linux. So probably, I'm really hoping that we start it tomorrow or maybe next week. So it's gonna be, probably I'm just gonna spend one whole class on just that Linux, so that we'll take it over. But anyway, so I want us to install some application on this server. We already have some application in there, but whenever you log into the application, the first thing that you want to do is you want to, I'm gonna just maximize this. You want to first update the server. So to update that, there is this command we call sudo, S-U-D-O. So sudo means super user do. Super user do. So which means we are claiming to be the administrator, the root user. So you can say super user su, and then you hit enter. So now you see it changed that from, instead of Ubuntu, the user, Ubuntu, now it's a root. Because if we are just a Ubuntu user, let me increase that. If you are just a Ubuntu user, as you can see, if you are just a Ubuntu user, there are certain commands it's not going to allow you to do. But now we are a root user inside this server, and we are inside our home directory. And then we have a user called Ubuntu. So this is called a directory, the path. So if I do ls, there's nothing. But if I do ls-al, so you see all these files that we have. These are our default files. We haven't created anything, but we have a .ssh. That's where our SSH key is being stored, right? So anyway, so clear. So to clear your screen, just type clear. I was too fast. Okay, so the first thing we're gonna do is, so every application has their way of like their package manager. For Linux application, the package manager is yum. So you do, so I'm gonna try this because I'm already a super user, so I'm not gonna put sudo. I wanna see if it's gonna work. apt update update -y. So that command is just going to update the system. Now, if you are not logging like this, if you are logging like just the user Ubuntu, if you see here Ubuntu, then you want to do sudo, and then you can type apt, and then you say update, and then you can even pass a flag. You say and apt upgrade upgrade -y. So the -y is just saying yes, because later on it will ask you, do you want to do this? And then you are going to say, yes, I want to do this. So basically, it's just going to install, it's going to upgrade your server to make sure that it has the latest patches, security patches, latest software, and everything else. So remember, you are not doing anything. I didn't do anything in terms of the OS. I only selected, hey, I want a Ubuntu server, and that I want a Ubuntu server. That was what it gave me, right? So if you are doing, so remember, I put in that yum update. That's why it didn't go much. It only gives scanty because I'm using a Ubuntu, and then I try to pass a package manager for Linux. So you got to remember that Ubuntu is apt. Linux, it's yum. Those are package managers. You have sometimes you will apt-get, right? So those are package managers. So every OS has, like if you go to Red Hat, it has its own package manager. If you come to Debian, they have their own package manager. So you see if it has already done everything. It says systemctl restart docker.server and blah, blah, blah. So that's fine. Jordan, can you refresh that page again that I sent you earlier? Are you able to access it?
Which page?
It's on the www.dtech.academy.
Okay.
Do you still see it?
.dtech.
So it was it's on the Zoom chat. You guys can also try it again. I just want to make sure if it is still there.
I can access it.
Okay, so it's still there. Okay. All right, guys. So we have updated the system. Let's try to install Apache. So we're going to install Apache, and to install any application, you're going to say again. So since I have the root user, so I'm just going to say apt install apache apache 2-y.
That is, sorry, 1 minute. Now, for persons like Mercy that uses iOS, so she's going to be doing that using Brew, not apt.
Yeah, so well, Brew is the package manager. So if you want to download anything that's a really good thing that you brought up. If you want to download stuff like packages and software, then you want to use Brew for Mac OS to install things. Let's say you want to, but the thing is like for Mac OS, majority of the applications are actually on your computer, because that's why Mac is really, really good for IT. If you know how to play around it, so the terminals, all these things I asked you to download, they are there on Mac. Only a few of them are not there. So you have to use, if they are not there, you have to use Brew. For Windows, if you want to install certain application on Windows, you are going to use something like Chocolatey or Hyper-V. Those are all package manager for Windows. If you browse package managers for Windows, they will tell you the package managers for Windows. Okay, so it has installed Apache. Clear. So the next thing that we are going to do is we are going to start Apache. So I'm just going to copy some commands and paste them, and I will explain them. So the first command, so I copy 2 commands here. So I don't want you to do what I'm doing here. In fact, I'm just going to do one. I'm just going to do one actually. So I'm going to do system ctl start httpd. So system starts, this is a command you use to start your server. So whenever you update and do anything, you have to always make sure that you either start the server if you have not started before, or you say restart. You can put restart, restart here. Again, remember, I'm not using sudo because I've done that earlier. If you don't want to do type sudo all the time, let's show this. So this is also going to be part of your Linux now. So I'm going to assume that you know this one. So cd ... ls cd ubuntu. So now I went back to Ubuntu, right? So if I do ls, nothing there, but I still want to remain as my root, as a root user for this command. But you can navigate. I'm going to teach you. We are going to go over like the basic Linux commands. In fact, I have a game. I have developed a game that we are at some point we're going to play. I'm going to try to, if we cannot do it during session time, I would say, okay, maybe Fridays, whosoever is available, they can join, and then we can play that game. And that game basically is going through, like, maybe at the end of the class, anybody should want to stay. I will open the game and show you guys like what we're going to be doing. but to be outside of the class. So maybe I'll say like an hour, we just meet, and then I will just ask you questions, and then you have to answer those questions. You play the game as a team also. Anyway, so I'm just gonna restart the server. I'm gonna do it one by one just so that you know. If you know what you are doing, then you can just do the entire thing. So sudo system start Apache. That's the command, okay? I have already sudo, I'm already a root user. If you do what I did earlier, that's sudo space su, then you will see root user. You don't need to put sudo in front. So I'm gonna hit fail to start Apache Y. Okay, so let me go back. Because it's not in the same directory. So let's say sudo sudo su again. Okay, let me paste that again. Nope, that's not the one. Okay, so gonna go sudo su, let's say okay, so let me try to run that again.
Do you want to go out as a root, or you want to be a user? You want to be a root? You can say exit.
Yes.
Now you're just a normal user.
But it's still a root.
Still showing root.
Let me see. Yeah, so these are the things that all right, so what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna close this. Let's log in again. We can navigate through that, but it's just gonna take some time. Okay, so I need that instance ID. Oh man, the time runs so fast. Already it's almost 8 o'clock. Okay, so let me do sudo su, and then let's say ls -al. All right, so I guess I have to do everything again. I'll just do Just paste. So it's just gonna reinstall the Apache again. So if it's okay with you guys, we can stay a little bit late if it's okay. Or if anybody has to leave, that's fine. I just want to make sure today we finish this and then we'll finish that elastic block storage and file system, because I really want us to get about that. Okay, so I'm gonna go copy the other commands. So the commands, so it has already been installed. So I'm just gonna paste those commands. Let me see here. I'm gonna put this in ChatGPT.
Are you sure your system is not having issues? Because if you need to get out of root, it's exit. There's no other way out.
Yeah, I'm not trying to exit root.
But you wanted to exit.
So let's, instead of you using the roots inside the roots, let's just create it without the roots. Okay, say it's already newest, so it's already there. So let's try to restart it again. Okay, so service script with user blah blah blah. Install, enable Apache. Let's look at the status. Yeah, so the status is failed. So this will be some of the things that you will do as a DevOps engineer. Troubleshooting. People are gonna they are gonna have issues like this, and then they're gonna call you. Let's see, telnet. Manual found. So restart it.
You're doing the right thing, but I don't know if the
I don't know what is happening. So it's saying that look for system error. So there is a system error.
Daniel, please, can you expand your screen for us? Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
So yeah, so there is a system error. Okay.
Daniel, don't you think you need to enable it first before you start it?
No, because it's not a file, it's an application that we downloaded. And that's also that's the other recommendation that ChatGPT gave. So that is what I did here, sudo chwn and then R. So it's just enabling the permission, but still it's still having issues. Let me see. Let's just troubleshoot real quick. So guys, don't worry. We're gonna talk about this in details, like when we come to Linux. Today, the reason why we are logging into this is because I wanted to do something with so that we can see that one application is coming, one server, how the load is being balanced. So I want to create a file and this and put that the traffic is coming from web server A and web server B. So that's really what we are trying to do here. But to do that, we have to create a HTML file. All right, so we're gonna move on to another demo. We'll take a look at this, just so that we don't spend much time here. But now you at least know how to SSH into the instance. So that's really the most important one that we need to understand. Like how can I log into my instance? So you can log into the instance and then do a lot of manipulation commands. And you are going to be more confident after we've talked about like Linux, because we're going to talk about the operating systems, and then the basic Linux commands and all those kind of things. But I'm going to warn you, with the Linux, you have to play with these things. You have to play with it. There's no magic. You have to play with it. If you don't play with it, you're not going to know it. That's just the truth. If you don't use it, you lose it. Just like your brain. Your brain has what they call synapses. Those synapses, every time you ride a bike, when you start riding a bike, you fall, you got up, you fall, you got up, but over time, as you continue to practice, you will become better and better. In fact, even like the car that you drive, you hit on the brake without even realizing that you are hitting on the brake. Before, when you start learning, you were taking your time to hit on the brake, but now you do it automatically. It's because there are synapses that are making that to be happen, and now it becomes a muscle memory. The same thing also is true for these things that we are learning. If you just come and you just listen and you're not, after the class, that's it, and then the next time we come again, believe you me, you are going to be disappointed because you're not going to know it. And you're going to get really upset, say, Daniel, eat my money, this, that. But the thing is, you have to do your own part. I'm not going to lie for you. Okay, so with that much being said, we have created Route 53. So we're going to learn. I was going to do ALB, but I'm going to show you guys really quick how to take a snapshot. Now, let's say you have this EC2 instance here, like this one, or this demo one. So this demo one, let's say your manager said they want you to create this same instance in US in another region. Let's say right now we are in Virginia. Let's say they want you to create it in Oregon. So you can there are many ways you can do that. So you can select the instance and then you go to action, and then you can go to image and template, right? And then you can create template from instance. So you can create a template from this instance. So that template will just be like this. But you can also create an image. That image that will create that AMI, you can create an image from this particular instance. And you can use that image to share it with other people. So if you click on create image, so you can ask you for a name, you can put an image name. So let's say demo. But remember, these are things that AWS will charge you for. And then you can say description. I'm just going to say DE demo again. You can say reboot instance, leave everything as default. Now, this configuration might be different from what like your manager, if you are actually working in the real world environment, it might be different. So they might tell you that, change the volume type. So you can attach a volume here. So right now, we are going to do 2 demos in one. So we're going to also say, we want to add, let's say the requirement is your manager, the project lead say, hey, I want you to add, right now, the volume that we have on that AMI, that image that you are creating is 8 gig, but we want to have 15 gig. So you can go add an image during the creation. But remember, if the image Okay, let me not go there right now. So you can say here, so you see delete on termination. So you got to remember this, delete on termination. So which means if you check this, so if you uncheck this, whenever you delete that instance, this volume is going to continue to exist. Remember that. When you delete the instance for this volume is your storage. If you want this volume to be deleted when you delete the instance, then you have to check this. In production, in the real world production, you don't want to check this, especially production thing. You don't want to check this because this volume is where your applications are. It holds your application, it's your storage. So if you delete it, you're going to lose everything unless you have a backup. Okay, so we're going to check that one. And then encryption. So this one is not encrypted, but now you can see it in a volume. If we are taking a snapshot, you can take a snapshot of the AMI. You can also take a snapshot of the volume. If you are taking a snapshot of the volume, if the volume, the original volume, if it is not encrypted, then you will not be able to encrypt any other volume that the snapshot. But this one is not encrypted, but it's allowing us to encrypt because this is an image. We are trying to create an image out of that image that we have. So yeah, I'm gonna leave it like that. And then I'm just gonna say, so they say the manager said 15 gig. So I'm just gonna say 15, and then maybe the manager say, hey, I want a general purpose or provision IOPS. Right now, the top one we have general purpose. Let's say this application needs a lot of read and write. So we want to use general purpose, provision IOPS. So you do that, and then you can put a tag. Remember, tagging, it's really important in a production grade environment. And then you say create image. What does it say? Storage type must be selected. Okay, where? Oh, okay, storage type. So you have to select the storage type here. Instance 0, instance store. So you see, remember I talked about instance store the last time? So I'm just gonna do that, select that one, and then gonna go create. Failed to create image from instance, we are missing device name. Okay, so we're missing something. So again, you can see Amazon has this diagnose. So you can click on this diagnose with Amazon Q. So Amazon Q is gonna tell you like what are you missing, and then you can go like fix that. So it's right now checking my system, this particular application, to see, okay, what lead to that failure. And then when it find out, it's going to give you like suggestions, like what to do, where you miss things. So when you make a mistake, don't worry, this taking a long time. So I think it's right here. So you have /dev/SDB, you have /. So these are all the device block names. They call it device block name. Okay, so I'm just going to select the first one, and then I'll go create. So this should not give an error. So right now we have created an image from this particular one. So how do you see that? So if you go to AMIs here, under instances, you see AMI images. You see on the left hand, you see AMI. So you click on AMIs. So right now we have one image. So this one is from that image that we created, our volume that exists right now. That's what we've created this image from, right? So you can see here, image owned by me. If you say private image, if you have any private image, you see it here. If you say public image, you see all the public images that people have that you also have access to. And then you can see disabled. So images that have been disabled. If you have any image that is disabled, you can see it here. So owned by me, so that's the one we did. So now if you click on this image, so this is just an image. An image is, again, I explained that last time, it's a template. And from that template, you can build stuff. It can, all the necessary things that you can. So now you can, if you want to launch an instance, you can click on the image that you have, and then you can click on launch instance from AMI. So basically, if you launch an instance from this AMI, it's going to have the same hardware infrastructure, just like the image, the one that you get the image from. But you can also go to actions, and then there are a lot of things. You can copy this image. So this is where, if you want to send it to another region, you can copy this image. you can say copy, and then it gives you like this one, image name, and then AMI copy description. So you can put a description here, and then destination region. So which region do you want to send this? Let's say I want to send this to I'm not going to do it because let's say I want to send it to Oregon. So you got to remember, there's going to be, AWS will charge you for the transfer. They will charge you. So I'm not going to do that, but I'm just going to show you. So you can do the region where you want to transfer, and you can see if it is time-based, enable time-based copy. So time-based, specify the completion. Now let me ask you guys, it's 8 o'clock. If anybody has something to do, you don't have to wait. I'm gonna just continue. I want to finish what I've said I was going to finish today, but if you want to leave, it's okay. The recording is going to be available. I just want to finish this. So you can encrypt this snapshot. You can put time-based. So if you check this one, time-based, how many minutes? Specify the required duration. So the achievable completion duration depends on the size of it. So basically, if you want this to just be like for how many minutes, however you want it to be, then you can specify that here. So for 30 minutes, or if you want to do it for an hour, you can do that. Well, I'm not going to do that. And then you can just say copy image. So this, if you copy this image, actually, I'm going to copy it. I'm going to copy it here. I know they are going to charge me. I'm not going to use KMS. I'm just going to copy this image.
Yeah, good money.
I'll copy it. Okay, so source AMI, blah, 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 not found in region East 1. So it says source image, source AMI, whatever. But this is how you copy it. This is how you transfer the image. Okay? Yes, Solomon, can you mute? So that's one way. So if they talk about backups, so that's how you create a backup. That's how you create one. So that's one example. The other way you can do also, you can see under this Elastic Block Store, you have volume and then you have snapshot. So you can take a snapshot. You can take a snapshot. So right now I have one snapshot. So you got to make sure you delete this one. If you don't delete it, they are going to charge you. They will charge you. Okay. So you can take a snapshot. So if you say create a snapshot, so you can say, do you want to create a snapshot from the volume, or do you want to create a snapshot from the instance? So if you want to create a snapshot from the volume, you say volume, and then you select which volume do you want to create a snapshot from. So these are the volumes that we have available right now. So these are all the volumes. So let's say I want to take a snapshot of that volume. And then you can say the description, just say snapshot. Just like that, or whatever description. So you see, not encrypted. So it's not encrypted. So and then you can take a snapshot. You can take the snapshot. So you can say create snapshot. So it has taken a snapshot of your volume. But you can also take a snapshot of the EC2. So instead of volume, you can say instance. And then you can select the instance. Let's say we want to take this Windows snapshot. And then we say win SNAPSHOT, win snapshot. And then this one asks you for further information, include root volume. So we just do that. And then we say, okay, so we are not going to exclude. So let's create this snapshot. So you see, we have created snapshot. We have 3 snapshots now. One is from the volume and one is from the instance. So now this snapshot also, you can, let's say we want to do something with this snapshot. So you can go to actions, and then you can launch copy duration accelerator. You can delete snapshot. You can manage snapshot. You can, under snapshot settings, you can modify permission. So you have to, if you want to send a snapshot, you have to modify the permission. Right now, I say private. You have to say public. So if you are sharing snapshot publicly with all AWS users, if you want to share this, you have to say public. because right now by default it's private, okay? What else here? So we are looking good. Snapshot settings, and then you can also manage fast snapshots. Okay, so again, so snapshot, you have point in time snapshots, you have real time snapshots, you have incremental snapshots. So point in time is like, okay, yesterday something happened, we want to get a snapshot from yesterday. So point in time, some point in time, sometimes ago, you know, you get a snapshot. And then real time is as like right now in the moment as we are speaking, you are taking a snapshot. And then when you say incremental snapshot, I explained this earlier, is incremental is you take a snapshot every 2 hours. The next time, the other hour, when you are taking a snapshot, you are not taking a snapshot of the old one. You are only taking a snapshot of the current state. Okay, guys. So if you are gonna share, then you are gonna need the account ID for the account where you want to share that instance. So you are gonna need that, okay? And then you have to modify the permission. So that's a little bit about snapshot. So we'll pretty much talk about a lot of things here. Now I want us to create, so let's log into that Windows server that I created earlier, because I want you guys to see the Windows server. So let's log into that Windows server. But before we log into it, I want to make sure that that Windows server has the RDP protocol. So how do you see that? Go under security and just check the security group rules that you have. So the rule, you are mostly want to focus on the inbound rule, not the outbound rule. So let's see what we have. So the inbound rule, right now for the inbound rule, there is nothing. Oh, we only have MySQL. So let's add, if we try to RDP into it, it will not work because it doesn't have the protocol. So you have to make sure you put a protocol. So let's put RDP. So you can type RD. So you can see RDP. So this is remote desktop protocol, okay? So the protocol is 3389. And then the MySQL is 1433, okay? HTTP is port 80. So this one we're gonna say everywhere, and then we are gonna save. So now we are gonna try to log into this again using mobile XTime. So get up IP. Now with this one, with this Windows server to log in, it's a little bit kind of you have to do other things. So I'll show you that. So go to SSH session, and then click on, instead of SSH, go to RDP, and then put in your IP address, the public IP. And then for the username here, so go back to, let's do this. Let's split this screen. Let me close this first, and then split this screen. Okay, session again. And then RDP, and then paste that. And then for this one, you have to click on, so once you select the Windows server, click on connect, and then it will take you to this page, just say RDP client. And then here, it gives you the admin password, so it's called administrator. Just copy that and paste it here, right? So once you paste it there, click OK. So when you click OK, it's asking you for your password. So now for the password, you don't have the password. Now what you do is say get password. So what this is going to happen is it's going to open another page for you like this, and then it's going to decrypt. It's going to translate that the .pem key into a password. So you say upload. So you upload the password from your computer. So it's going to go to your computer. It's going to take you to your computer, and then you are going to look for your key pair. Where is my key pair? This one. And then you upload that, And then you see it bring it here, and then you say decrypt. There was an error decrypting your password. Please ensure that you have entered private key correctly. I did. Okay, so maybe it's this one. Oh, that's 2024. No, that's not the right one. This one say 1/5/2025. Okay, it's this one. So for some reason, I have the same the same things. So decrypt, and then once you click on decrypt, it gives you a password like this, temporal one, and then you paste it here, and then you hit OK. And if everything goes well, we should log into we should see like our Windows computer, Windows server.
So this
right
is
now, we are logging into our Windows machine right now. So yes. So this is the EC2, but we use like the Windows operating system instead of like Linux. So it's gonna go through the same things, just like when you, so this is basically like you buying like a complete, like brand new Windows machine. And then when you do all those things, so this is a Windows machine right now. So this one that you are seeing, this you are seeing is not my computer. This is the EC2.
so this is for
This
mobile
is Windows.
XM.
So this is Windows. We only use the mobile XM as a client to access this. Well,
Okay.
This is Windows. This is Windows. This is the EC2. Yes.
See you tomorrow. I'm about to leave, sir.
Huh?
I'm about to step out. See you tomorrow.
Okay. Okay. No worries.
Okay.
So it is. We are inside of this server right now. We are inside of. We are inside of this guy. We are inside of this Win EC2. That's where we're. That's what you are seeing right now.
Okay.
This, right? So what I wanna do really quick before we end, that's the really purpose. I want to 2 things more, and then we can end for today. Then I'll feel that I did justice to today's class. If I don't do these things, I will not feel like I did justice to you guys. So we are going to create a volume, and then we are going to attach that volume to this instance. That's what we're going to do. We're going to create an EBS volume. We're going to create 2 types of volume. One EBS volume and then one EFS. Really quick. It doesn't take long. Okay, so I'm going to leave this one on. So right now, if you click here, you say, so if I right click on this here, and then I will say disk manager. So you see right now the disks, how much we have. The disks we have 29.9 gig. So if you look at your computer also, you see the same thing that you are seeing here. If you type on your computer, you go on your search bar here, or you right click on the Windows key. Jordan, I know Jordan is the only one with the Windows here. I mean, Mercy, you are on your thing. You will see the Windows machine. You will see something like this. So that's your disk manager. But we are going to go back to AWS to create that. So to create a volume, just go to volume. Oh, we already created a volume earlier. I think this was the volume that we created earlier. Is that right? Okay, so it say in use. So let's create an. So you see where it say in use here. So you will see if the volume is available or not.
The 3 of them is in use.
Yeah, they are all in use. Okay.
Oh.
And they are all not encrypted. So we're going to create a new one. And then this volume, we're just going to say, let's do provision IOPS. We're going to leave all the default settings. We're going to make sure it is in the same availability zone as the EC2 instance that we want to attach it to. So we want to attach it to this Win EC2. So let's see which region. I think it's in US East 1F. So US East.
You have to change it.
1F. And then subnet, we use the US East 1F. Right. Just do that. And then if you want to encrypt, you can encrypt, or if you want to do EBS multi-attach, you can do that. We're not going to do that. We're just going to say create volume. So we have created a new volume. So once it's finished, it will tell you that it is available here. So you see, available. The other one said in use. So I'm just going to rename this. I think it's this one, right? Yep. So I'm just going to rename this. I'll just say custom custom volume. So I'll say custom volume. Now, just you creating that volume, it's not enough, right? We have to attach it. So because it said not available, so we have to attach it. So you select the volume just like I've done, and then you go to action, and then you have different. You can take a snapshot just as I said earlier. But what we want to do, we want to attach it. So you say attach volume, and then you select which machine, which server that you want to attach it to this Win, and then we want to select the devices. I'm just going to use this default one, and then you say attach volume. So now this volume will say it's in use. So you see, they are all in use now. If we come to our EC2 again, where is it? If we come to our EC2, and then we'll go again to our disk manager. So you see, we have one right now. So you see, this one that we just added right here, right?
Yeah, yes.
Yeah, but we got to bring it online. So right now it's not online. So you right click, and then you say initialize disk. Okay. And then here, new simple volume. Say next. Go next. We're going to leave it as D drive. Next. Leave everything. So Windows use the file system called NTFS. It's a new technology file system. That's why it stands for new technology file system. That's what Windows is using. Originally they were using the FAT, F-A-T, you know, FST or whatever file system. So I'm gonna go next and then finish. So right now you can see that we have the volume here, and then this one, you see the disk. Now it's online, and then we can open this. You can see that. You can see the volume. So this is, we are inside this volume right now. So you can basically create, like, let's say you can create a file. Let's say you can trade like text text.txt. Yeah. So right now we're inside this volume. So guys, I've just showed you guys how you can actually provision this volume and how you can, initialize it and how you can put it online. So you see it's online right now. And you can also partition this volume if you want to. So that's really quick about this volume. On how you can create a volume, how you can add. Let's say that your system is running slow and they say, hey, our system is running slow, can you add the volume? So this is what you do, okay? And then the last one I would do is the file system. So let's go back to
system?
File system.
Yeah. Okay.
So you have block storage. We'll talk about block storage, which is the EBS, right? So these volumes, this one that you are seeing, these are called block EBS. So these are all EBS volumes, right? And then we've talked about S3. S3 is another storage, but that S3 is an object storage. Because the reason why it's called object, because it stores data in an object form. You have to upload things. And then we'll talk about EBS. EBS is a block. So it stores data in a block form, in a block-like form. And then we're now going to talk about EFS. So EFS, you have to type EFS. So it's called Elastic File System. So you click on that. So this one also is very easy. So with this one, we are going to log back into our server. We are going to attach that file. So while it's doing that, let's just create the file. So here you can see here different things: file system, access point, backup, sync, transfer. So you can transfer. You can look at the documentation here if you want to know more about the file system. But before we do that, actually, I'm going to play this video so that you guys can listen it. Let me share my sound. Okay, so I'm going to play this.
Amazon EFS is a cloud-native data store that provides simple, scalable, elastic shared file storage for Linux-based business applications. It can grow to petabytes while delivering consistent low latencies and high levels of throughput. And it's fully managed, so you don't have to worry about ongoing maintenance. Amazon EFS is easy to set up. Simply use the AWS Management Console, API, or command line interface to create a file system and make it available to one or more Amazon VPCs. Your EC2 instances can securely then mount your file system to store and access data. You can also mount on-premises servers to EFS using AWS Direct Connect or AWS VPN, making it easy to migrate data to EFS, enable cloud bursting, or back up your on-premises data to EFS. EFS file systems are elastic and automatically grow and shrink as you add and remove files. You can choose between two performance modes so that you can tailor your file system performance to your application needs. Throughput for a file system scales automatically as capacity grows. For workloads with high throughput requirements and low capacity needs, throughput can be provisioned independent of capacity. For less frequently accessed data, you can configure EFS to store data in a cost-optimized infrequent access storage class. Amazon EFS works with the tools and applications you already use. It is designed for high availability and durability, storing your data redundantly across multiple availability zones. With EFS, you always have the capacity you need, when you need it, without having to provision storage in advance. Pay for only what you use with no minimum fees or setup costs. It eliminates storage administration tasks, so you can focus on more crucial business. To get started, visit aws.amazon.com/EFS and create your first file system.
Okay, guys, so that's file system. I'm not going to explain. I think that the video does justice. So you can read the documentation. But I want also to make sure that you know how to create it hands-on, because this class is more about hands-on. So we're just going to give it a name. You can say DEMO, Demo EFS. And then, so we only have one VPC, so we're going to leave it like that. So you have two types. you can either customize. So if you click on custom, so the custom you have, if you want to do regional EFS or one zone only. So the regional, it offers the highest level of availability and durability by storing file system data across multiple availability zones. So if you select this one, it's going to store the data on the file system in multiple availability zones. So you can store it in US East 1, US East 2, wherever you know. If you select this one, it's only going to store it in one region, within one availability zone and within a region. So just bear that in mind. And then enable automatic backup. So I'm not going to enable this. So if you want it to automatically back up your data, then you can select this one. You know, best practice, you want to do this, because if you lose the data, if you don't select this, you lose the data, you lost it for life. Or maybe not for life, but you lose it. Life cycle management, so you can manage the life cycle. So you'll hear a transition into infrequent. So I already talked about this under when we talk about S3, infrequently access AI. So if you are not accessing the application frequently, and then you can use the infrequently access AI, or IA, not AI, IA. So that's what infrequently access, that's what the IA means, which means it will store this data for 30 days. Right? So you only use the infrequently access if you are not, if you have data that you don't access like every day, every week. And then you have transition into, so basically you can set this time. So basically after 30 days, it will transition into archive. And then after 90 days, it can transition into standard if you want to. So that's so you have the infrequently access, and then you have transition into archive, and then transition into standard. And then you can choose bustable or enhance, you know, and then you have other settings here where you can choose either general purpose or max, you know. So I'll just do that max, and then I'll say next. Okay, so yeah, I'll choose none, and I'll choose max. And so it will tell you like the regions, the subnet, and everything else. You know, you don't need to do anything here. If you want, you can remove. I'm not going to remove. I'm going to leave everything as it is. And then here you can also prevent root access. You can do other policy like granular policy. You know, control how who can access or who cannot access. I'm going to leave it like that. And then it will give you like a summary. Just read through, make sure that everything is correct, and then you click on create. So you see how easy it is to create an EFS. So right now we have an EFS here. So we're going to leave it here, and then we're going to go back to mobile Xtime, and then we're going to create a new session. And let me go copy. So we're going to go back to our EC2. This time, we're not going to do it on the Windows server. We're going to do it on one of these Linux. Because mainly EFS is for Linux server, Linux operating system. So I'm going to do that. And then you put Ubuntu. And then SSH, EPR. So just because you have created the EFS does not mean that you are done. So even though you have attached that file, you are not done yet. So once you attach the file, so we are going to go back to our screen here. So once I'm going to just put it side by side. That's not what I want. Okay, so we are going to put it side by side here. So we're going to go back to our EBS volume here. Going to close this one, and then close that, and push this a little bit. No, not that one. This one, a little bit in here. So once we are here, so we have to attach this file. So we can click on the volume that we have created, and then we go to attach, and then so it will give you a command. So you select the last command, this one, this sudo mount. So we have to mount, we have to create a mount point. But before we do that, let me see if I can. Okay, so to do that, the first thing that we need to do, so we log into the system, we log into our server. We want to change as a root user. So we'll do sudo su sudo su, and then okay, so we are the root user now, and then we are going to create a file. We are going to create a directory. So it's to create a directory. I'm going to, again, don't worry about this command. I'm going to go over them in our next class. So we are going to say mkdir, and then we are going to say EFS, then enter. Yep. So we have now mkdir, and then we are going to check what we have. So df-h. Let's see what we have. Okay, so we have all these guys here. We have the temp, and then we have yeah, so
Anya, please, can you expand the screen? Thank you.
Yep. So now what we're going to do, so once we're in here, we're going to copy this command. To mount it, just copy that command and then paste it here. And then hit enter.
Fail.
Yeah, so it looks like the mount failed. Yeah. Not sure what's going on today with the command. But so this is how you mount it. So you don't, the command will be there. Once you click on attach, the command will be there, and then you just copy that command, you paste it here. For some reason, I don't know, something is not going right today, so which is okay. We can come back to this at some other time, but this is how you create an EFS. You just put the command and then click on mount. So if it's mounted, it will be like this, but it will not say fail. The command will just run. It will just run, and then you will see empty here. There will be nothing here, which means it has been mounted, but this was not mounted for sure. So, all right, guys. So that's EFS, and I'll pause for a little bit. If you guys have questions, you can ask now, or if you don't have questions, if you want to wait tomorrow, you can ask question tomorrow. But any question? Any questions? So today we look at EFS, we look at EBS, we create a Windows server, we created, look at Route 53, we created a simple routing policy. We were able to see like open us this one. So tomorrow we are going to look at load balancing. We look at SSL. We are going to try to connect tomorrow load balance. We are going to create a load balancer, and then we are going to connect that load balancer to Route 53, and then we'll create SSL certificate. So like this site that you are seeing, this is our site. But you can see here, it says not secure. It says not secure. So what we are going to do tomorrow, we are going to see if we can secure this site. And how we are going to know it is secure, you know, like when you look at Amazon on this site, you see there's a padlock.
Yes,
so
it's locked.
Yes, it's locked. So we want to create the same thing tomorrow. We are going to look at it. So we are going to change this tomorrow. Instead of saying not secure, we are going to secure it tomorrow. So that's all for today. Any question?
For me, there is a lot of questions, but I want to watch the video, so I won't just keep you.
Okay. Yeah, so go ahead, watch the video, and then if you have questions during the video, after you watch the video, let me
Yes,
know.
sir. Okay.
Yeah, and then yeah, so tomorrow again, same time. If nobody shows up on time, I'm gonna start the recording. You know, when you join, you join. If you're unable to
Okay.
show up, it's okay. Just make sure you watch the video and then you follow what we are doing. We also
Yes, sir.
finished today DynamoDB. So we created a table or something. Okay, guys. Jordan, do you have any question?
I'm a little lost, but I think I'll find myself. I probably need to just go back to the recording of Wednesday, and then I'll continue again from there.
Or where are you lost?
Like, so this is the DevOps part of what we're doing, right?
Nope. So this is the AWS.
Okay. Yeah, I guess I just need to watch the video for Wednesday. I had a very busy week. I had training at work, so
Okay.
I'm a little saturated, but I'll just find time and watch the Wednesday recording, and then that way I can just watch all of this again, and I should be able to find myself after then.
Yeah, so watch that video. That video, Messi was there. It gave me a lot of errors, but we were able to fix it. Like creating the domain name. So that domain name is the domain name that you are gonna see. So that's what you see for pretty much every application. So if every application you see online, it has a domain name. It has a domain name. That's it. So anytime you see, so someone will give you, say, hey, can you go to Jordan, what's your website?
Ma2pictures.com.
Mine?
Ma, M-A.
M-A.
No, take the Y out.
M-A.
T-O.
T-O-O-L. T-O-L, okay. To
Pictures.
I see T-O-L here. Pictures.com. So you see that .com? So basically you are learning to create this thing here. Did you create this yourself, or someone created it for you?
I created it myself, but I had help with some, like, putting some stuff together, but I created it myself.
Okay, so I'm just gonna stop recording now.